What's up, YouTube? Southern Comic Geek coming to you with a CGC unboxing and some regular comics unboxing. Before we get into that and roll the intro video, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and the bell notification so that when videos like this drop ever so randomly, you will be one of the first people to know and can make the conscious decision as to whether or not to watch it now or later. But as long as you watch it, we appreciate you. So, if you want to see what they are, stay tuned for the video. So, got several mail calls in, and I got to the LCS. And I got the CGC book. So let's take a look at the smaller stuff before we get to the DC stuff. And first off, shout out to AA Comics, who sells on Instagram. And I think I bought these off of YouTube. Well, I know I did. I bought these off a YouTube auction that he done. But this is Detective Comics 373. This is the second appearance of Mr. Freeze, I believe. But this is the first time that he's actually referred to as Mr. Freeze as opposed to Captain Cold. So there you go. Let that Mylar magic work. That's right. Then we've got Batman 276. So he put this up for an auction, which I won. And then as I typically try to do, it's like, hey, I'm looking for some other stuff. You got a little more Batman. So I sent him my list off my CLZ app, and he happened to have, which he collects Batman too, but he happened to have some extras of this. That's 276 rather, and then also 272. So got those on the cheap. Then went to the LCS and for something else, but also picked up a couple of missing Detective Comics that I needed. 954, 950, 958, and 951. And got a mail call, bought this off of IG a few days ago, and I thought this was the next to last issue that I needed to complete that Wolverine Volume 1 set. Come to find out, I needed another one, so I need two more now. But this is 155. It's a slight homage to Hulk 340. So Liefeld on the art there. And then shout out to Gino Bonino, who I don't think he does anything on his regular channel, but he's typically on other people's channel like Jay Blitz and the like. Picked these up a while back, and so a while back, like several months ago, and he holds books like I do for other people to try to build boxes, and I don't know what his schedule, or I just wasn't on the shows that he was on or whatever. And so I had my list. I try to keep a list of people that I bought stuff from so I don't forget, especially those who are holding boxes from me, because one, as a seller to other people, I don't want to be holding somebody else's books that they aren't paid for forever, because then somebody goes, oh, well, you didn't ever send me my stuff. And then the other thing, as a consumer, I don't want to forget that, hey, I bought this out here and it's not here at home where it should be, it's somewhere else. So I reached out to him and said, hey man, let's just go ahead and send those out. And so that's what he did. I picked up Micronauts annual number 2017, which is the annual, and it's of course an homage to Giant Size X-Men #1. He also threw in there for me Wizard number 17. For those of you who don't know, Wizard was Comic Tom before the internet. And although they did have, the Overstreet price guide, it never really drove the market in the 90s like Wizard did. And, they had these color pages with great articles and cool art, and they put this top 10 out, and as a kid I was like, oh man, to get one on this top 10, that would be so awesome. So when I got remembering, and in this case Image and Valiant have the entire top 10, which is kind of true if you think back to 92, because the big DC was kind of, in this place that they're finally going to break Batman's back and kill off Superman to try to gain sales. The big guys had left Marvel to join Image, and Jim Shooter and a big crew was starting up Valiant, who was pre-Unity, fantastic stories and great art. So it was kind of indicative of the time, but this is what drove the market, And so instead of people looking things up on eBay, they were looking things up in the Wizard. And so, surprised to me when I went back and started collecting these things that they weren't quite as pricey as what they were back in the day. So, yeah, it's a nice little fold-out cover here. So there you go. And I don't collect all the Wizards, just like the Wizards. Like I've got some X-Men ones. They had the X-Men 30th anniversary one that came out. It had the little prism colored X-Men, and I had the Death of Superman one. Just a handful, select ones. And then, of course, I had to get another one to add to the collection. Turok #1. Fantastic art. Okay story. But, yeah, fantastic art. And, yeah, can't have enough Turok, man. And this is a poster for Hardcore #1. Must have been a promotional poster or something for comic shops. And so for those of you who don't know, Hardcore #1 is the only Valiant book from that era that was done by one of the big artists of that time, Jim Lee. And so as I understand it, and correct me if you know something differently in the comments below, but as I understand it, it was Bob Layton needed a favor. He called in a favor to Jim Lee and said, hey man, can you do this cover for me? And the rest is history, as they say. That was a promotional poster that not only has that, but it also has some of the panels from that particular comic. So let's talk about this book. And so this book was supposed to, it went back and forth as to when it was going to come to me. And finally, CGC released it from their dungeon last week, and I got it. And so these are some of the books that are left up there from October of last year. I have some other ones that have still not seen the light of day yet, and they're sending them out. So if, normally when you submit with CGC, you have a modern tier, magazine tier, you have all these different tiers, and so you want to group the books together to cut down on shipping costs, because they'll try to send them out together. They're just sending these out as they go along, and I don't know if that's just because they're so backed up at this point or what the deal is, but irregardless, that's how they're sending it out. I do appreciate the fact that I'm actually going to get my book versus it waiting on the other ones to finally see the light of day. But yeah, I got this. So I bought this book in a little bitty old hole-in-the-wall place in West Memphis, Tennessee. So it's actually in Arkansas, I guess. So if you've seen the comic shop, you know what I'm talking about. But going inside, there's a lot of stuff. Owner's a real interesting guy to talk to, and has some decent prices. You do want to make sure that you check your books. And I guess that's a good thing everywhere, but he has so much stuff there. He's not checking the condition of his books except cover checking. When you look at the cover and say, okay, that's what it's worth. You didn't check the back. You didn't check to see if the cover's detached. You need to check all that if you're going to buy stuff from him, especially if you're going to buy big stuff. But everything was okay on this. I did send it to Eric the Comic_Presser over on Instagram. So check him out and use the code BurtFamily, I believe, to get free shipping back to you. So, but yeah, so he had pressed this for me and sent it to CGC. I was going to send it to CBCS. This went out the same time that some other books I sent to CBCS, like my Giant Size X-Men 1 that he pressed. This was in that same batch. A reason I didn't, because CBCS does not currently have magazine size holders, and for this particular book during this time they were magazine size holders. So if you know my collection, you probably are aware that this is a TMNT Mirage book from the first run. This is number 4. This is the first print. Now I do appreciate the next print better. I believe the second print is the one with the NES cover that was later the cover that was later used for the NES game. I actually like it better, but this is the original. It is a wraparound cover, and cleaned it and pressed it and sent it off, and I got an 8.0, which is a little bit lower than what I was hoping for. I was really hoping for an 8.0 to, or 8.5 rather, to a 9.0, so not terribly off. I had heard that they were grading those magazine books a little easier than what they would grade a typical comic, but that doesn't seem to have been the case. Or maybe it was the case and maybe it really is a 7.0. I don't know. Maybe I was just way off. But, for what I paid for it, and it to come back as an 8.0 even after I had to pay to press it, it still was worth it. Did come back white pages, so that's good because a lot of those old pages will yellow. And so the fact that it was in this guy's collection, the fact it came back white pages is fantastic. The only thing I don't really care for the thickness, but I don't know if there's anything that you can kind of do to get away from that. But in their labels, they see how that lays back like that instead of being firmly pressed, and it looks kind of crappy, like it fell down in the inside there. And it's just the fact that it's not thick. It's thick enough to be inside the comic one, but not the comic magazine one, and so. What do? They could put a thicker paper in there, or put little bitty plastic tabs up there to hold it up. I don't know, but tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about the book, the grade, the other books that I picked up. What's your experiences with CGC? I know that you probably already aware that I don't really have much love for them. Don't plan unless they see the error of their ways and start treating their customers right and start doing better on their turnaround times and their customer service, from the sense of getting books sent out right, not scuffed, not cracked, not the wrong labels. If you don't know what I'm talking about there, check out my other CGC unboxings. But I don't plan on sending anything new to them. I'm going to use CBCS outside of like in-house signings, outside of things like this with a magazine holder or maybe a reholder that I don't want to have regraded, just want to have it in a newer case. I don't know, but tell me what your experience with CGC is lately in particular. I know that bad news travels always faster than good news, and so you always hear about the bad stuff. And I certainly know about my bad experiences with them, but what are your experiences, good or bad? Tell me in the comments down below. I do appreciate everybody for taking the time. We are over 800 subscribers at the time that I'm recording this video, and we are going to be announcing fairly soon the March to 1,000. So be sure to go ahead and subscribe, like this video, but subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so that when videos like this drop ever so randomly, you won't miss nothing. And I'm not releasing what the prizes are going to be or what you got to do in order to get them as of yet, but it's safe to say that you will need to be a subscriber to the channel in order to enter to win, and hitting that bell notification helps solidify the fact that you're not going to miss the announcements when those happen. So appreciate everybody taking time to watch this. Until next time, keep reading and keep collecting. Adios.